How many of you are sick and tired of being censored on social media? It doesn't matter if it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you're going to get censored, especially if you're conservative, and your information is going to be collected. So we all know what's going on. It's no surprise. And people are looking for places to go. Well, check it out. ConnectZing.com was created by my good buddy Drago. You can listen to episode number 2 of this podcast and learn all about him. He is a Polish immigrant who was held in a socialist re-education camp, aka prison, for 3 years for being part of a Freedom Underground in Poland. He came to America when he got out. He became an American citizen and then a Navy SEAL for 20 years. You couldn't ask for somebody better than Drago to build a social media platform that gives you true freedom of speech. I don't know anyone who's been oppressed to that level personally in the United States. No one. Well, guess what? When Drago left the Navy, he became a computer programmer, and he has created this incredible social media platform that's familiar to what you've seen, but the biggest difference is the censorship not going to be there. Go check it out, ConnectZing.com. It's one word, ConnectZing. Go check it out. Zing me. You can look me up. I'll be on there. And all my friends that are coming from Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, they'll all be there as well. ConnectZing.com. And let's start the show. This is Jonathan Gilliam back in on the Experts Podcast. Happy Friday. The truth has arrived. And I was busting my brains to try to figure out what exactly I would talk about today on the show. It's interesting, we're in that era of the news where it just doesn't add up. The majority of stuff that they're bringing up on a daily basis is the same stuff repackaged into a new salacious form. I guess the biggest thing is about Ghislaine Maxwell. That's actually really big news, but it's interesting because I think we can sum it up very quickly. I don't really have to cover a whole lot in this yet. I am going to cover this eventually. But here's basically the one thing that I can say about that story. When you look at the headlines and what they're saying is that, that Ghislaine Maxwell is, she's got all this information on all these people, and that she, helped recruit people and or these young girls into Epstein's lair, and still none of the prosecutors are talking about who they were working for. They just want to make it sound like it was Jeffrey Epstein and this woman. And I'm not buying that. I'm just not buying it. The guy was a liar from the very beginning. I've watched all these different shows and read the background on the guy. He was a liar. It was too good to be true. The positions that he was in all the time. It was just too well organized where he never got in trouble. Yet he continued to be in positions where he could make billions of dollars, and all the while building these incredibly large relationships or powerful relationships with powerful people, and building this empire, not of just money, not just of influence, but I don't really know what his influence was, except for the fact that he was supplying young women for sex with not only himself, but other individuals, that he was keeping manifest of his flight itinerary and who was on it, and cameras and video and audio everywhere he was, and all his properties. The influence he had is called bribery or jamming somebody up. I mean, that is where his influence seemed to have come from. But the mystery of this whole thing that nobody is looking at is the fact that this guy, throughout his career or life, not really a career of, really corruption, he really was nobody. He lied to get jobs as a professor. He was a con artist as a hedge fund guy. He worked for somebody that went to jail for the same thing, but he didn't go to jail. He worked for the guy. He didn't go to jail. The other guy did. In this hedge fund, I recommend that you watch this. They have a special on Netflix. I think you can also get it on YouTube, but nobody is talking about that. And when I read the headlines about this Miss Maxwell character, it's the same thing. It only talks about, there's a lot of important people that, like on Fox News, Epstein author tells Tucker Carlson that Maxwell arrest likely has some some people pretty terrified. And I'm sure that it does. But why were they doing this? Why would you jam people up? You don't jam people up unless maybe he was just trying to fill his coffers, and he realized that if he jams these very powerful people up in circumstances that would end their careers or get them put in jail, that he would have power over them. That very well may be that it was just him. But it also could be that he worked for an intelligence agency, could have worked for the United States intelligence agency. I've lost a lot of respect for not only the FBI, but the CIA and all these other intelligence agencies because they're so far left. And I could perfectly see some of them actually doing something like this. And when we do jam world leaders up, and we do put people in circumstances overseas. In fact, the CIA's job is to go into other countries and break the law. That's their job. But the depravity of this and the low standards of this, and the fact that they used underage children and just ruined so many lives for the sake of information. If it was for an agency, that needs to be exposed. And just like the Fast and Furious, those people need to go to jail. If it was just him, we need to know that as well. It doesn't seem like we're really figuring any of this stuff out through the investigations. It never seems to, even the show on Netflix never quite gets there. They don't even hardly speculate on that. And I don't know if it's because I've been in law enforcement and worked sources in the FBI. I had sources and we worked these sources diligently. I don't know if it's because I understand how this whole thing works with the source, and I see something different. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the world, but I have experience running sources and putting people into situations, for instance, where we know we bust somebody who is dealing guns, we bust them, and then they cooperate with us, and we send them back out there to buy more guns or sell more guns that are inert, or they're just made where they don't function, and we use those people and we use them in these compromising positions to go after the other people. I know how it works. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, this is just one of two things. Either this guy, Jeffrey Epstein, figured out the most unbelievable plan that worked to jam up world leaders and very wealthy people using bribery and extortion and all these things, or it's more organized than that. And either way, nobody's asking the right questions. Even if she goes to jail for the rest of her life, why? did they do it? And I don't see this question being even approached by anybody. Prosecutors, filmmakers, or authors. They just kind of skate over it. Now, besides that, I mean, it seems like a lot of the news, as I just said earlier, is just repurposed. I mean, there are headlines like the soldier that was killed at Fort Hood, I believe that was. To tell you the truth, I haven't hardly even looked at that. Specialist Vanessa Gilliam, I think is how you say her name, Gilliam, missing Fort Hood soldier was murdered and body hacked to pieces, attorney says. That's a pretty big deal, but it sounds to me like it was something that had to do with potentially a relationship or something in the military. These things happen more often than you know. But in looking at all these stories, something started to pop out when I saw perhaps the dumbest headline I have ever seen on Fox News. In fact, I'm going to tweet this out after I do this show. And if you watch this show, please go retweet this and like it and say something about it. I'm looking through Fox News headlines. In fact, I went through all these different headlines. Drudge Report is the absolute worst. And you remember, Drudge is an aggregate for all these other publications, online publications, and it's unbelievable the way they spin stuff. That being said, I look at this headline. It says, white couple arrested after gun pulled on black family. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, here we go. Another group of crazies. But just like the couple in St. Louis that pulled the gun out because, as the media reported it, a group of protesters came into their community on their way to another location that they were going to protest. But in reality, they're rioters because they busted down a steel fence, went onto private property, and were threatening these homeowners and their home, which is this unbelievably large facility. Is really more than a home. And everybody sees that video and they think, oh, this couple, they've overreacted, or because their weapon handling techniques are so bad and atrocious that people are just thinking that they're idiots. Well, they weren't idiots. I mean, it turns out nobody attacked their home. I don't care how bad their weapon handling techniques were. Nobody touched their home. So as I read this, I'm thinking, well, let's just go either way. The way the headline is written, white couple arrested after gun pulled on black family. You're thinking it's just some fruitcake husband and wife that pulled a gun on somebody and it had something to do with racism. But that is absolutely not what happened. Now, there's a video on here, and it's interesting because also in this story that was written by Bree Stimpson, I got to figure out who this winner is because, like I said, this is the worst written story I've ever seen on Fox. Typically, I have praised Fox, even though they've gone left, at still reporting the news somewhat in an unbiased fashion. And I know people on the left would say, well, that, they lean to the right. What I typically see them doing is reporting, when it comes to politics, more stories about conservatives and Republicans. Yes, no doubt about that, stories that favor them. But when it comes to stuff like this, Fox has always been pretty much good to go as far as their reporting of this, unbiased. But this Bree Stimpson, who I've got to tweet directly to them, writes this story again, white couple arrested after gun pulled on black family. And in there, embedded in there is, it just says video. It says the confrontation was captured on cell phone video. And it's not like they embedded the video in the story, which typically they do because it was on Twitter. It's a cell phone video that somebody tweeted out on Twitter. And I wasn't going to play it, but I'll play the audio, part of the audio for it. Because when I watched the video, this woman, her first name's Gilliam, Wustenberg. Julian Wustenberg, she's 32, and Eric Wustenberg, he's 42. They were charged with felonious assault, which I don't know why they're charged with assault, because I didn't see them assault anyone, over this incident that happened in Oakland County. And again, it said the confrontation was captured on cell phone video, but it just says the word video. The video is not embedded in the story, just their mugshots. And the story goes on. I'm going to read the story before I play the audio from the video, okay? Start at the very beginning. A white couple was arrested. First of all, the way this is told, it's as if white and black had anything to do with the reason why that they were pulling the gun, that it was clearly a white on black issue. That is not the case. And I think you will hear that when you just listen to the audio from the video. So it says a white couple was arrested after at least one handgun was pulled on a black woman and her daughters during a videotape confrontation in a restaurant parking lot in Michigan, authorities said Thursday. Now, I don't see anywhere in this story where they mention the age of the daughters. We are not talking about 7-year-old daughters here. We're talking about fully grown. I don't know if they're teenagers because I never really see them, but they're not children. Okay. It goes on to say that Julian Wustenberg, 32, and Eric Wustenberg, 42, were charged with felonious assault over the Wednesday incident. Oakland County prosecutor Jessica Cooper said, have a feeling Jessica Cooper's a liberal. The confrontation was captured on cell phone video. Again, not embedded. Tequila, is that really her name? Tequila. Unbelievable. Tequila Hill, gosh, who is black, told the Detroit Free Press that her daughter asked Wustenberger to apologize after she bumped into her outside of Chipotle on Orion Township, about 40 miles outside of Detroit, but Wustenberg instead started to yell at her. Now, I don't know what happened before the video starts, but I'm not seeing this woman, Gilliam Wustenberg, I'm not seeing her yell at all until the very end when she gets out of the car with a gun. And even then she's saying, call the police. Okay, so the story is not matching the video. It goes on to say Wustenberg gets in her car after a tense back and forth that included accusations of racism. Her husband, who was still outside the car, says, "Who the F do you think you guys are?" One of the girls accused him of being a racist and ignorant, and he walks back to the car. Now, again, that's not all that was said in the video by the guy. As you will clearly hear, he's not just saying, "Who the F do you think you are?" He's saying, "Who do you think you are calling everybody a racist and starting something like this?" That's what he's saying. It goes on to say, you can't just go around calling white people racist, Julian Wustenberg. Why am I having such a hard time with this name? Wustenberg says from the passenger seat, "White people aren't racist. I care about you." As their car pulls out, Hill taps the back window. Okay. Hill is the mom. Says that she tapped the back window. What she did was stand behind the car and slam the back window with her fist. She later told the Detroit News she thought the driver was going to hit them. Well, they were trying to get out of the parking lot to go away from these people. And based on what's been going on in this country, I don't blame them because of the way they were being accosted. And this is not a white-black issue. If you watch this video, the only people in this video that are making it a black-white issue are the people that are black. And if you know me, you know that I hate talking about skin color because it's just stupid. But in this case, especially in this story, they're certainly pointing this out and trying to make it sound like it was a white-on-black crime. All the while ignoring the fact that these two people were basically being accosted by this woman and her kids. her adult kids. One of the girls, and listen, they could be 15 years old, but it wasn't like, when you hear the mouth on these people, it's not like they're like, they just came from church and they're in their Sunday school dresses and they stopped by Chipotle, a woman and her 2 7-year-old daughters, and were accosted by 2 white people. That is not what happened, but that's the picture that you're being painted from the headline down by Fox News. One of the girls calls for somebody to call the police. Yeah, so did the couple. Wisdenberg then lowers the gun, climbs into the passenger seat of the vehicle, and drives off. So this is America, Hill wrote on Facebook afterward. I've never in my life had a gun pulled on me. I've never felt so helpless in my life. I'm so shaken up. You see, folks, this is the crap that I'm talking about that I'm just absolutely sick and tired of. I don't know if these people are leftist. I mean, I have a feeling they're Democrats. Because of the way that they're acting and the tactics of getting behind a car when it's trying to pull out. But what they're doing is inflaming this, and this woman is saying that, so this is America. Well, yeah, this is the way people treat each other. This is what's happening. Everything is turned into a white-black issue. And it doesn't matter if the people who have black skin are the agitators. It doesn't matter. It's still going to be a white-black issue, a white-on-black issue. This is ridiculous what's happening in this country. And then she says, I've never in my life had a gun pulled on me. I've never felt so helpless in my life. I'm so shaken up. Well, you didn't seem shaken up when you stood behind the car and punched the back window and then was screaming at the woman that you were going to beat her up. They actually said that once. They didn't mention that anywhere in this story. Sheriff Michael Bouchard said the sheriff's office has received threatening calls from people picking sides over the incident. Well, Sheriff, why don't you just do your job and investigate? I mean, I sat here and watched the video. I watched it once. I watched it twice. The whole thing was ridiculous. They couldn't pull away. Are people supposed to wait until those that are threatening them break their windows, pull them out of the car? I know in Detroit, which is interesting because this isn't far from Detroit, I think it was Detroit, where these cop cars drove through a crowd and ended up injuring a couple of people, and the police department there were totally backing up police officers because they had their back windows broken out and people jumping all over the cars. I agree with that. We don't see sides, we see facts, he said. There's a lot of tension in our society and a lot of tension among folks and people with each other. I would just say this. We are asking and expecting our police, and rightfully so, to de-escalate every situation they possibly can, and we should be doing that. But I would say that needs to happen with us individually in our own lives and situations, that we interact with each other and de-escalate these moments. See, this is the stupidity that I see in law enforcement, okay? This is a sheriff. I'd love to have this guy on my show. This is a sheriff who says we don't see sides, we see facts. But then he goes on to give a lecture about de-escalating the situation. Look, Sheriff, if you want to be, I know you're a politician because all sheriffs are elected. But how about you just come to a conclusion, like I have in 2 minutes of watching this video, and understand that there's a lot more going on here than 2 groups of people escalating the situation. I clearly saw one group escalating when the other did. This reminds me exactly of what happened in Wendy's parking lot when that knucklehead got shot by those cops because he fought with them, grabbed the taser, and then shot the taser at one of the cops, and he got shot within a second of shooting that taser. Stupid. He got shot because of his actions. Justified shoot. Now that cop's sitting in jail. The most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. This sheriff, Bouchard, you need to investigate this, come to conclusion, and stop preaching to everybody, because obviously nobody gives a crap about what the cops have to say right now. It's not helping anything. And you're not in the business, especially right now, of lecturing people on de-escalating situations. Deputy seized 2 handguns from the Wustenbergs when they were detained Wednesday night. Both have concealed carry license. So what's the problem? If you watch the video, they should not have been arrested, I believe. Now I'm going to play the audio. I think you're going to be able to see what I'm talking about here. And again, this is what's interesting. This is another thing, okay? The idiot that posted this, MK Ultra News, boy, I bet they're Pulitzer Prize winning news agency, says a maniac Karen named Gilliam Westenberg held an unarmed black woman and her daughters at gunpoint in Chipotle parking lot. It goes on to say, first of all, this whole thing about Karen, if you're white and you show any emotion, all of a sudden you're called a Karen. Totally racist. Totally racist. There's certain cases where people act absolutely stupid, and like the woman in Central Park who, called the law enforcement and choked her dog out because the guy was black and she felt threatened when he was looking at birds and she was walking her dog off of a leash. That woman was an idiot. I don't like this Karen name, right? I don't like that because it's putting people into a category which, I thought we were trying to get away from this. I thought this was where we were trying not to go, especially after the 60s. Okay, so listen to this. Let me turn this up. All right, here we go.
15-year-old.
Correct.
And you're on camera.
Okay.
You're feeling threatened.
Okay, well, go in.
No, Mom.
I got this.
You're blocking me from getting my car.
No, we weren't.
Okay, right off the bat, this woman, Gillian, she is standing, trying to get into her car, and these people are standing in between her and her car. So she can't even get into the car. Remember, the way that Fox News story wrote it was as though the girl approached her so that she would apologize because she bumped into her. That's what she said. The whole thing sounds like a setup. I think she said her age there at the beginning. Let me see real quick.
This ignorant woman bumped into a 15-year-old.
15-year-old. Okay, so she's 15. Again, she's not a 7-year-old daughter, okay? This is a 15-year-old with a mouth on her like a sailor and her mom there, and they're pushing this woman mentally to argue, and they're in between her and her car, and she's trying to get in her car. Again, this woman, Gillian, who has white skin, is right now, as far as when the video starts, is not yelling. She's trying to get into her car.
Okay.
And you're on camera.
Okay.
You're feeling threatened.
Okay, well, go in.
No, Mom.
I got this. You're
So at this point, what you're basically hearing is the mom and the daughter talking about who's got it. So because they're going to argue with this woman, right? That's basically what you're hearing at this point. And then you're going to hear this woman, Gillian, say, I'm trying to get in my car and you're blocking me.
I got this.
You're blocking me from getting in my car.
No, we weren't. No, we weren't. No, we weren't. You're ignorant.
Go ahead.
Okay, no, you're not. You're ignorant. That's not the white person saying that, okay? Again, I hate talking about this in color. I guess I should just say the Hills. I think that was their name. Let me see here. Let me make sure. Because Tequila Hill. Okay. Again, with these names. All right.
No, we will, but you're not going to sit there and violate a 15-year-old.
She's ignorant.
She said she's not going to violate a 15-year-old. There's no evidence that anybody violated anybody on here. And in fact, the guy comes over, opens up his door so his wife can finally get in the car. The daughter's filming from the front of the car. The mom is just towards the back of the car. So they got these people from both sides yelling at him. The husband comes around, opens the door for his wife to get in the car, and it continues.
Do it, bitch. Do it. Go ahead. Do it.
And see, she's saying, do it, do it. She's trying to get her to fight. The mom, Miss Hill, is trying to get Miss Wustenberg to fight. She keeps saying, do it. And I'm just seeing this woman try to get in her car.
Do it, bitch. Do it. Go ahead. Do it. I want you to do something.
She's very ignorant.
Dumbass bitch.
Now she said she's ignorant. That's the daughter. And then the mom called her a dumbass bitch. Meanwhile, she's now in the car. Miss Wustenberg is finally in the car. Husband's still outside the car.
I said it. You say something, I'll beat your white ass.
So she just said, yeah, I said it. And if you say something else, I'll beat your white ass too. That's what Miss Hill said to the husband, Mr. Wustenberg. That's what she just said to him. I'm gonna play that one more time, just so you hear what's going on.
Bitch. Yeah, I said it. You say something, I'll beat your white ass.
So she just said, she called the woman a dumbass that got in her car, and then she said to this guy, yeah, I said it, and I will beat your dumb white ass too, which is a racial statement, which she's threatening to beat him up based on his color, which if it was the other way around would be a hate crime.
You will do something. Please put your motherfucking hands up.
Again, now the daughter and the mom are on the husband who's standing there, and this is what he says.
Something.
Please.
Who the fuck do you think you guys are?
Who do you think you are?
Your wife think you are.
You called her name?
yeah,
She did nothing to you.
Yeah,
I didn't.
Kayla.
No, you didn't.
He said, I watched it, and he's turning around to walk off and go get in his car.
You're very racist and ignorant.
You're racist because you're calling
No,
her
you
name.
bumped it. She bumped.
You see what I'm talking about, folks? Does this have anything to do with the story that was written? This makes me so effing angry. I'm about to explode because, well, for one, because it's Fox News. And two, because this is the reality of what's happening. This guy's being called racist. His wife is being called racist. There's nothing racist in here except from this black mom and her 15-year-old daughter. And this is what's causing these problems. It's not cops shooting unarmed black men. They shot more white men than they did black men last year. That's not the problem. This nonsense is the problem. In the media, the way it spins it up, this is the problem. And the left is taking advantage of this nonsense. This should have never happened like this.
Why would you walk around calling white people racist?
Why would you bump into
You
her?
cannot just walk
Why would
around
you
calling
bump her?
white
Why
people
would you bump her?
racist. This is not that
Why
type
would
of
you
world.
bump
Okay, again, the mom is up to the window. Now Miss Wustenberg, Gilliam Wustenberg, has rolled her window down, is telling her that you just can't go around calling people racist. Never in this entire thing does she say anything about the color of their skin. Never.
Why would you bump into
You
her?
cannot just walk
Why
around
would you
calling
bump her?
white
Why
people
would you bump
racist.
her?
And the mom is saying, why would you bump her? I don't know what happened. I mean, the way they're making it sound as though she walked in like a drunk person into a bar and just slammed the 15-year-old daughter out of the way. I highly doubt that's what happened based on their behavior from when the video starts. I highly doubt that that's what happened.
This is not that
Why
type
would
of
you
world.
bump her?
White people
Why
are
would
racist.
you bump her?
No one's
Why
racist.
would you bump her?
I
Why
care
did you
about
say
you.
sorry?
I care
Why
about
did you.
you.
Say sorry?
And she's saying, I care about you. I care about you. She's trying to diffuse the situation just like the sheriff was saying.
And I'm sorry if you
Why
had
did
an
you say
incident
sorry?
that made
If you
someone
bumped
make
into
you
her,
feel
why did
like
you
that.
say sorry?
No one is racist.
If you didn't,
I'm sorry if
you
you
do that?
had something like that happen.
Ignorant.
And she says, I'm sorry if somebody made you feel like that. Nobody here is racist. I'm sorry. And she rolls her window up, and the mom, you can see in the reflection in the window, is walking to the back of the car.
Ignorant.
The daughter's still filming. She
Mom,
turns
watch.
around, and she's standing behind the car, and she just punched it. Now, let me play that again, where I'm not going to say anything, and you can listen to it.
Very. Mom, watch.
Now, she just punched the back of the car. That was the mom, Tequila, hitting the back of the car.
Get the fuck away from me!
You don't get on her face.
You better get on my face.
Okay, now Miss Wustenberg, Gilliam Wustenberg, gets out of her car with a gun.
Right now, get away. Get the fuck away. Get the fuck away. Get the fuck away.
Are you gonna hit? You gonna shoot me?
Get the fuck away.
The husband's out as well. She chambers around. And again, these people have concealed weapons carry permit. I don't know what the husband's problem is. If anybody was going to pull the gun, he should. I mean, why is the wife the one doing the freaking job of protection? But anyway, I digress. But she's standing her ground. She's standing her ground. It's not like she just brandished a gun and started calling people the N-word. This all occurred in this parking lot as these people were trying to leave. And you can clearly hear through this who's instigating this. And when they try to back up, they hit the car and stand behind the car, and they can't even pull the car out.
Call the cops right now. Call them. Call the cops. Get the fuck away. Call the cops. Get away.
She got the gun on me.
Call them now.
With the car. Call them. I'm telling you. Get the
Call the cops.
Get the license plate.
Now this is where, and this is why you don't, as we used to say in law enforcement, you don't break leather. That means you don't pull your gun out of the holster until the situation is really imminent that loss of life or serious bodily injury is going to occur. I know they were under a threat. I know, and I believe, my opinion on this is, if I was a prosecutor, if I was a sheriff looking at this, that she had all the right to think that she was in danger of being injured because of the way this was escalating and the fact that the mom went to the back of the car and hit the car and stood there in trying to escalate the situation. So somebody that doesn't have my training experience may believe that their life is in danger or that they could be injured severely at this point. But I'm here to tell you, folks, take this from me. You break leather, you're going to have to deal with something like this. Now these two are in jail and nothing's happening to the other people because they went straight to Facebook and the media and made it sound like they were the victims. I mean, the greatest thing ever is this video. And these people tried to de-escalate the situation and get out, and they just kept amping it up. The point she's at now, though, her husband went to go get back in the car. She's out there by herself. She has the gun pulled, and this is a problem because I don't know these people, and nor does she. And there's been more than one occasion when somebody's pulled the gun out. They were afraid to use it. They were basically trying to scare the people away. The gun was taken away from them. They were killed with the gun. Now she's in a situation here where it's a dangerous situation. And when the video goes off, you can tell she's panicked because the husband's trying to get the car out. She's trying to get back in the car, and she's screaming for them to get back because that's what people do. They'll draw a weapon, and then they realize when you draw on a weapon, if you're not if you're not in an official position and you're using that in official duty, you may actually be forced to use it because people will challenge you at that point. Let's finish.
Get the license plate now, because you were never about to hit me with the damn car.
Don't you
about to hit
no.
me with the car?
Fucking
Don't get put the guns on me.
Yeah.
Okay? Call Richard back up to the police. Call Richard back up here now. I got it.
Don't you fucking jump behind my car.
No, I ain't jumping on your car. What
Don't you fucking
You're
Mom, stop moving! Stop back! Mom! Up! Get the fuck back! Back the fuck up!
And that's where it ends. I'm supposing she got in the car and drove off. That's all the video that I see here. So it's very troubling to me on several levels. One, because of the way that this all occurred. Reasonable adults could have just said, "Oh, listen, I'm sorry if I bumped you. I didn't mean to." Don't know exactly what happened, but the way this was escalated, the way they were calling her dumb bitch and telling him they were going to beat his white ass, these are issues. Because if it was the other way around and this was on tape, I mean, these people's lives would be ruined forever. But because the man and wife are white, the people who were telling them they were going to beat their ass and pointing out the color of their skin, nothing's going to happen to them. It's not even, nobody's even talking about that. Just like that other story I was talking about at the beginning of the show. Everybody talks about stuff that, like, everybody's so concerned because this woman's white and she pulled a gun on these people. They're so concerned with that they ignore the entire rest of the story. And then the fact that Fox News, I mean, MK Ultra News, I have no idea what this is. The fact that they would just tweet this out the way that they do, I guess could be understandable because it sounds like an idiot that tweeted it out. But when you look at the totality of circumstances in this video and the way these two people were basically ratcheting up this situation to the point where they were threatening bodily harm and getting behind the car, hitting the window and telling they were going to beat their white asses, I think you have a major issue here, and that's not being covered by Fox News. And the way that story was written is so misleading that it's an all-time low for Fox. I don't know how anybody could watch this video. Please watch the video and then let me know what you think about it. Gilliam _seal on Twitter, Jonathan T. Gilliam on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. It sickens me to watch this and then look at the way the story was reported. Sickens me. And folks, again, I want you to get your concealed weapons carry permit. I want you to have it. I want you to have a gun in your house so you can protect yourself. But you've got to remember, one, everything's videotaped now. Two, anything that you say will absolutely be blown out of proportion in the media and by social media, whether it's true or not. And three, you do not break leather. You do not pull that gun out to scare somebody away. I don't give a crap what Joe Biden says about going out back and throwing a couple of rounds up in the air with a shotgun. When it comes time for you to pull a gun, it's not about intimidation. It's about life or death. Am I going to get beat to the edge of my life or killed right now? That's what it comes down to. Not am I going to try to scare these people so I can get out of here. I mean, they should, ultimately, I think what they did was legal. That's my opinion on it. But if you're in that situation, take heed of this message that you're seeing. If you watch this video, take heed of that lesson. Stay in your car, roll the window up, call the cops. And that's it. Or start videotaping yourself. And don't engage. Don't try to tell people, I'm sorry that something happened to you. We care about you. We're not racist. Listen, in these circumstances, it's not the time for you to have a social discussion with a woman and her 15-year-old daughter that are out there telling people they're going to beat their white ass and punch in the back window of their car. That is not a time to try to reason with people. So it just aggravates me to death. It really does. And I see that people are making the right observations on this on the Twitter feed. And that does make me feel pretty good that people are actually seeing this. But it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, again, I'm going to put that on Twitter and on Facebook. Let's take a break. I'll come right back. Now, I know everybody's unnerved right now because of all the things that are going on. It doesn't matter if you're a business owner, a parent, or a single person. You could be a target of attack. Now, you, believe it or not, can actually make educated predictions as to who would attack you, why they would attack, when and where those might happen, and how it could be carried out. But you need a base of knowledge as your foundation. Now, I've created a system that gives you that base of knowledge. It starts with Sheep Know More, the Art of Awareness and Attack Survival. It shows you exactly how attackers look at you, how they discover the information that you already know about yourself and your business and your family, and they use that to discover the vulnerabilities that you have so they can manipulate those and attack you. It has 2 workbooks that come with it. The first one is the threat assessment workbook, where you apply that knowledge from the attacker's point of view, and then you use that information to fill out the defense assessment workbook so that you can actually build better defenses. And for the young people in your family, the children, there's The Adventures of Team Little Bigs, a parent's book for children. It's a book of amazing pictures with lessons built into it. The parents go to teamlittlebigs.com, download the lesson plans, and teach their children by using the pictures, safety awareness, and communications. Sheep Know More, the Art of Awareness and Attack Survival. It's 2 workbooks, and The Adventures of Team Little Bigs, a parent's book for children. This is how you secure your homeland. And let's get back to the show. All right, now I'm just going to go over real quick one other thing here. These headlines on Drudge, it's almost comical. Let me pull Drudge up here real quick. They're going so crazy over this virus. My biggest fear with this virus is the elderly. I mean, why isn't the government leaving everything? Oh, this is a lesson that we should have learned, okay? I'm going to say this again at the end of the show, okay, just so you know. What the government should have done was lock everything down for the first, couple of weeks to see what kind of effect it had. It basically had very little effect. Why? Because they put COVID positive people into elderly clinics and killed over 50,000 people. Do you realize that the number right now is 128,000? If they had not put these COVID patients in the elderly homes, we would only be at 78,000 people dead from this. So we wouldn't even be above the flu on a bad year. But because, not of the flu, but because they didn't do their due diligence in locking a place down, cleaning it, and making sure that the staff were not sick. Why? Because these elderly clinics and quote-unquote rehab clinics, nothing rehab about them, they are run by mafia thugs, it appears, and people who are just trying to get money. We're talking to the tune of $15,000 a month in some cases for an elderly person to just sit there. That's it. It's a bed. They don't do anything more than housekeeping at a hotel for a lot of these people. And they charge $14,000 a month. So the numbers are totally skewed. And what they should be doing now is 100% putting their money and their funds into protecting the elderly. I'm talking about setting up sterilized food delivery for them so that there's not an elderly person in the country that's going to go hungry or has to go to the store. They should be giving them free cable, free telephone until this is all passed. And then they should let young people, I'm 50 and I had it. But I have a neighbor who's 48. He died from it. So in their, your late 40s, early 50s, you can die from this. But why not let young people work up to the ages 30 or 40, or even if they're 50 and they want to work, let them make the decision. As long as they know to protect, and this is the other thing, nobody's really going out with a plan like this saying, listen, we're going to let you work. We're going to let businesses open. We're going to let you socially gather. You're probably going to get sick. But do not go around elderly people. And then let the economy thrive. Let the young people go about their business. And if they get sick, they get sick. But we're not seeing large numbers of young people die. I don't know about the long-term effects from it, but the fact is you're not going to stop it. Not in a free society. You can't keep it locked down. You can't keep doing what you're doing. And then don't intubate all these people. I just found out that the reason why they're not using CPAP machines, which are not deadly like intubation, is for some strange, I don't know. They said it had something to do with this. I don't really know. Nobody, the excuses they have don't add up. They could have been spending all this money on CPAP machines. The reality is a lot of these people that are dying are not dying from low oxygen. They're not dying from the pneumonia. They're getting over that, but they're dying because their organs failed because they were intubated when they could have been put on a normal CPAP machine. So, okay, we didn't know that at first. We know it now. Stop intubating people. We've got all these hospitals that are open around the country that are empty. And I'm not talking about the regular hospital. I'm talking about all these places they set up and spent millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars to set these things up. Start using those. But there's no plan. Nobody's doing anything right and correctly. It is as if this nation has 50 dictators that run the states and countless numbers of mayors that are mini dictators. And none of them know what they're doing, and they're all lying to everybody and acting like they do because they're effing narcissists. So it doesn't seem like it's that difficult. I am not a medical doctor. But good gosh, if I can come up with a plan, you would think that they could. And for the rest of you out there that think the virus isn't anything, it is something. Okay, it is something. I had it. My body's different now. My joints are sore all the time. Other people have had long-lasting problems with their lungs or their smelling and their scent and their taste. It's gone. You may think that's nothing, but you try living like that, it's a big freaking deal. It's enough to drive some people crazy. We don't really know the long-term effects. But we do know that the long-term effects of this quarantining that they're consistently doing doesn't work and can cause economic collapse, which would kill more people by starvation. We still don't know exactly where we're going in this world now because of this. But also people are going to do what they want in a free society. But all you that think it's nothing, it is something. And all of you people that are out there complaining that the mask kill or this, listen, that's a bunch of crap. You wear a mask. It's not going to kill you. If you get a little hot, pull it down so you can breathe and put it back up. If you don't like it, don't go anywhere. You wear the mask for me. I wear it for you. I know you've heard that said and people think it's crap, but listen, it's not a hill to die on. And if it was crap, doctors wouldn't be wearing them in hospitals. Nurses wouldn't be wearing them in hospitals. They wouldn't wear them in emergency rooms. They wouldn't wear them when they're in an operating room. Okay? It's not crap. But it's a perfect example of how ridiculous everybody has gotten. Just like these stories I just told you about. It's gotten ridiculous. People putting nonsense on Facebook that I know are good people. Smart people. And this is the hill they're choosing to die on. You want to make a ruckus about something? Put a damn mask on and get 10,000 people together and go surround these abortion clinics. Go and take, you took 20,000 people armed to the teeth and protested like you should in Virginia about the Second Amendment. But I haven't seen anyone getting together because Ralph Northam, the governor of Virginia, said that they can kill babies that are born. What's wrong with you people? You listen, Second Amendment's very important. But you're telling me that children's lives are not important? Most people won't even talk about it. And listen, if you're black, you're not getting a free pass from me, all right? If you think for a moment watching what's going on is okay, and you think like what's happening with these two women right here is justified because of the years of oppression, you're fooling yourself. You can be whatever you want if you want to be it. You just keep trying no matter what anybody says. You want to be a good person? You can be good. You want to de-escalate situations? You can do that. This nonsense about oppression has happened and this and that, and we need to, rise up and nothing's getting fixed because of that. Nothing. I don't give a damn about your skin color. Stupidity, ignorance, narcissism, incompetence. Those are things that don't see color. And it seems like everybody's got it now. So when I go, I don't even know if it's anything now to go over these stories. I mean, the reality is what I'm seeing here on Drudge reflects the stupidity that I'm seeing in the country right now by everyone. Everybody thinks they're going to fix it, or we've been injured, we have to rise up. And no one is looking at the reality of what's happening to this country. It's absolutely mind-boggling how intelligent the human species is now and how stupid they are at the same time. I can guarantee, not because I'm any genius, okay? Not because I'm a genius. I can guarantee you I could go get 10 frogmen, couple scientists, only a few lawyers that I know and trust, some teachers that are conservative. And I say conservative because the rest of them are batshit crazy liberal, leftists. It's unbelievable. And we could change this nation back to the way it should have been. Back to I call it a revolvolution. Back to the way the founding fathers envisioned it. And I know the liberals are going to say, oh, you want black people to be 1/3. No, I'm not saying that, idiots. The Constitution, the way it was written, which is why not just the United States, but the entire world is almost devoid of slavery now. If we hadn't have gone through what we did, if the Constitution had been written the way it was, the world would not have evolved so that people have equal opportunity and equal recognition. There is no such thing as equality beyond that. You're not going to change the way people feel unless you make a positive imprint on those people. But you're not going to go force them to change. You can change the laws, but people will hate you even more then. People, everyone needs to realize it's not rocket science to run a country. The country is falling apart because people that are in a position of authority to run the country are fools. And we've allowed it to happen, and we keep allowing it to happen. And I don't know how it's going to change. I really don't. I don't know how we're going to get this back. Now, I don't know if you realize this, but all these activists that have reared their ugly heads and started these protests and tried to make these big changes in the nation, nothing's gotten better. In fact, it's gotten completely worse. Similarly, all these governors and mayors that came up with these wacky plans to fix the virus have actually caused it to get worse. I mean, half the people that have died have been because they put COVID positive patients in with elderly people in clinics and killed them. The fact is, the loudest people in this nation, the activists and the politicians, the leftists, they are the most incompetent and ignorant people that there are in this nation, and we should not be listening to them. We are the ones that need to stand up. We are the ones that the founding fathers intended to be in charge. I'm Jonathan Gilliam. This is The Experts. The truth has arrived. Peace, and we're out of here.